Now, the lectures that we're doing right now here at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel in regards to this atlas of Jewish history, medieval Jewish history, by Dr. Haim Beinhart. I got to get that name straight. Haim Beinhart. It's really telling us about the war of Christianity versus the Jews at this point. And this is the early part, because Christianity is weak in the sense of what it actually pretends. It's hard to understand Christianity if you're not a Christian, or if you haven't been brought up in that. It's very difficult to understand what's going on. Whereas Judaism is fairly straightforward. It's the old book. It's the old idea. It's the original idea. And it's already, by this time, it's like 2,000 years old. So here we have Christianity starting now in the face of that, but the majority, and that they have the weapons, and they have the government. And this is a story which actually is never really said, because the church is still out there, and the Christian world is still poised in the same direction as they always were, except that we're living in the United States right now, which is a nice place to live. So let me come over here to the next place we're going to be at. And he wants to talk here about synagogues in Palestine, the 2nd to the 6th century. So we'll move up to the year 500 or so. But to give an idea about how the settlement, now you think about this in your own lifetime. So the Torah says that a man lives to 70 years, and if he's strong, lives to 80. And so today people are living longer because we have a really terrific health system relative to what used to be. But nonetheless, it's not a long time. So if you look here for a situation where he said the 2nd to the 6th century, so does he mean 300 years or does he mean 400 years? But at any rate, that's quite a bit of time. The Jews have been in the United States. Many Jews came after the Second World War, at least Orthodox Jews. Many came before the First World War, before the revolution in Russia. And this is only, 100, 150 years. So here you have Jewish communities that are going back really thousands of years. But they're still there, living for these 300 or 400 years in the midst of the control of different Roman churches. So here we have the concept, and let me look at it again, and I'll just show it to you again, is that we're going to be talking about Byzantium, because if you look at all of these different places that are named, most of them are in Byzantium. That is the Eastern Roman Empire. And I think I should put this in before we understand it, that the Rus people, who became the Russians, and we call the Russians, really, just send it right up the Black Sea, there's Russia right there. So this spread from here into there, became the Eastern Russian Church, which is a very strong relationship with the Serbians, for example, and the Greeks. All of this is a very similar religious philosophy. The question is how did they handle the Jews? Because you see so many Jewish communities within their reach. So let's come over here and let's read a little bit more. So it says Byzantine rule. So that's what we're saying. The Byzantium, which is really basically became Constantinople and now Istanbul. Byzantine rule sought to deal a blow to the Jewish communities in Palestine and diaspora by abolishing the Patriarchate. So what is the Patriarchate? It means that we had a line from the great rabbis, and a line from King David all the way down through the Rabbi Gamliel family. The death of Rabbi Gamliel VI in 426. Okay, so now you see where you're at. You're in the 5th century. Brought an end to the harassment of the Patriarchate. The harassment apparently continued, though, for more years, into 429. Now, he doesn't explain what this harassment means. In spite of the authorities' attempt to badger the Jewish residents of Palestine by dividing the country into 3 provinces, and let's just take a look at this. Where can I see it best? Here we go. The first one is called Prima. That's in the center of the country. Segunda was the second, which means second. Prima means first, and Segunda in Latin means second. He's in the north. And Tertia in the south. I don't see the word. Here's Tertia, way down here. So this is now the Holy Land, which includes today, which is Jordan. But this is all part of Arabia at that time, or some of that was. Or this is the Roman holding at that time. So he says, despite the fact that they divided the country into 3 places, in other words, you couldn't travel from one to the next. He said the Jewish community remained resolute. A list of synagogues and their mosaics present a picture of a Jewish community attempting to cope with the edicts of the time. Jews were forbidden to reside in Jerusalem. They were forbidden to reside in Tiberias, he calls it, and this became the most important Jewish center of the period. I think I read that wrong, so let me read it again. Jews were forbidden to reside in Jerusalem, and Tiberias became the most important Jewish center of the period. The Samaritan community was badly decimated as a result of its first revolt against Byzantine rule in the year 484. Now, Samaritans is a Jewish, which is not Jewish. Samaritan is a community of Gentiles who lived in the Holy Land and had been living there probably close to 1,000 years. The rule in 444, but they revolted against the Byzantine Romans. When Emperor Zeno built a church on Mount Gerizim, which is the main mount of the Samaritans, called in Hebrew called Shomronim, and the revolt in 529 during the reign of Emperor Justinian I. So therefore they were attacked, and they were mostly decimated. Now, if you look at this map, let's start with the first one. Well, I guess we have to start here because what he's showing you is a picture of the Roman holding of Palestine. And then we have this section right here that he's going to put onto this map. And let's look at it a little bit more closely. And so you see that here's Phoenicia, which is, I guess, today Lebanon up in the north. And here you have Meron. So we know that Tzfat is on the other side. And we have Kfar Nahum. We have around the lake, the sea here, Tiberias, and all of these little menorahs that he's showing you here, all of them are places where Jews live. Very, very large, detailed Jewish communities all the way up and down all of these places. Where the Jews were not is in the south. They raped the Jews. They raped the land in the south, tore down all of the trees, which eventually grew back, and were taken down by the Turks later. That's a different story. So here we have the picture of Palestine, and this gives you an idea of look at all of the Jewish communities all over this area, even in the south, in other places. Still in En-Gedi and Hebron, Gaza, Guvrin, I don't know all the names of all of these places, Ashkelon and Ashdod, Jerusalem and Jericho. All of these places, large Jewish communities. It's the war of Christianity versus the Jews. Baruch Fleischman, Tikkun Elevator Kollel.